Hi, welcome to Happier Ladies. We're sisters who discuss all things related to work, family, and personal growth.
We draw inspiration from everywhere, especially from you, our listeners, to keep moving forward with joy and laughter and the big adventure that is life.
1 week at a time.
I'm Azizi Williams. I live and work in the LA area. I'm a mom of 2, soon to be an empty nester, and I'm an education professional in the independent school world. I'm here with my sister, Malika Amandi.
That's me. I'm a SoCal native living in Western Massachusetts, a newish mom, and I work in higher ed.
In this episode, we'll recap our favorite moments from the Happier with Gretchen Rubin podcast and Happier in Hollywood, hosted by Liz Craft and Sarah Fain.
But first, Azizi, I have another sleep tool.
Ooh, you're so good at sleeping and finding sleep tools. What is it?
I'm really working on it right now. So it's like a bean bag. It's got rice in it. It's one of those rice bags that you could put on your eyes or
Oh, yeah.
something, but it's bigger. It's not the size for your eyes. It's like the size of a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper,
Okay.
or like A5 or something. I don't know. It's bigger than what would just go on your eyes. So it's pretty
Yeah.
heavy. And I don't know what's inside. I think it's just
Okay.
rice. This was purchased from like a local artisan that I did not interact with personally.
This transaction, I'm imagining in the middle of the night, like you just slid over a big rice pad.
No, there's a place where I go where I've gotten prenatal massages, and there's like a little stand that has these rice pads, rice pillows, and like a
Third party
Venmo.
situation. Okay.
Exactly. So you can heat it up or you can put it in the
Right.
fridge. I actually haven't done either of those things. I just use it in bed and I'll just put it on my side as I'm sleeping, like on
On
my
top
hip
of you.
or on top of me. And because it's so heavy, it doesn't fall
Mm.
off. And something about the weight, the pressure is just like so soothing. So if I have like a muscle ache in my thigh or my hip, I'll just plop it on and then it feels better, and then after a while, I'll take it off, and it's like it's feels better.
Okay. So weird. So it's just applying pressure to the area that is not feeling good makes it feel better. Oh,
Yes, which I guess we know this, applying pressure can be very powerful or like a Theragun if you repeat
right.
pressure, but there is something about just something holding it
I
down,
mean,
and I like that I can maneuver it, in the middle of the night very easily, and I'm into it.
well, it's like a weighted blanket,
Yes,
but just a weighted throw blanket or towel, a smaller weighted thing.
exactly, a very
Yeah.
small weighted blanket.
It reminds me of when I worked in preschool and it was nap time. Man, we had all kinds of strategies to get kids to go to sleep. And one of them was we called it a love glove, and it was like a gardener's glove that was filled with rice or beans or something like that, and
Mm.
you would just place it on the child's back when they were slowly falling asleep, and it was like magic. The same thing, just that
Yes,
pressure, it feels like a hand is there, so reassuring. So maybe you need a love glove.
I think I have one.
Or you have one that is the right size for you. I love this application. It's like a simple, handy, easy to find kind of thing. And I've
Exactly.
seen them. I mean, I like the ones that are scented, of course, like with lavender,
Yeah.
them that adds another element.
Yeah, it's nice. Lots of different things in the bed.
Well, I'm glad you're utilizing new tools to help you get rest. I know sleep is important to you.
Yeah.
I've given up, but I'm glad you
You're
haven't. What happened on Happier in Hollywood, Malika?
In Happier in Hollywood, episode 417, Elizabeth and Sarah discuss going for it, and they read examples of excellent bios. In episode 418, Elizabeth shares about face blindness, and special guest Laverne McKinnon discusses the concept of sprouting versus blossoming. So I enjoyed their conversation about going for it. They were talking about an actor that they've worked with, Walter Goggins, who's on White Lotus, and how he, in his performances, is always going for it, just not afraid of any emotion, always bringing out the story and the character in the most intense, fullest way. And I could definitely resonate with that from an acting standpoint
Mm.
and how that's not easy to do, even though you think, oh, well, you want to be an actor, you want to do these emotions, but how it can be really hard to get out of your own way. And they kind of talked about that from a writing perspective. And I'm curious, Azizi, for you, is there anywhere in your life, professionally or personally, where this concept shows up of like going for it, going big, not holding back, anything like that?
I feel like this is my baseline is going for it. I mean, it made me think about just in
Mhm.
work, I always wanna try the bigger thing or take the risk or kind of go for it, and my personal mantra or just my default is say yes to things, so I feel like that
Mm,
is in line with this concept also, and it's funny, when I was in high school, I had to learn how to not go for it, or that's more what I have to try to do is not go for it and to be more intentional and thoughtful and to think about when are the times to go for it and when are the times to hold back. In high school, I had
right.
to learn how to not contribute to the conversation so that I could listen to what was being said and being smaller sometimes is a good thing. It's a balance. Those types of things, they don't exactly translate into non-creative spaces, I think. This feels like a very, aligned with a creative performance aspect.
Yeah, because there's a difference between going for it and taking up too much space. Those could be the
Right,
same thing, but they could also be different lanes, you know? So it's not a perfect metaphor for every
right,
situation. But I hear you saying, like, you felt like over your life, you've learned how to kind of have more discretion about when to take up space and when not to.
right. When to give it all you got
I see.
and when to let someone else give it all they got,
Right.
you know? I wonder if everyone's giving it all they got. I guess that's okay in a creative situation. I don't know. In terms of the creative space and in the actor space, when I took the improv class, it was really
Oh, yeah.
interesting because I felt like just the act of being there was going for it. But then, like, being in the scenes or, doing the exercises, I was going for it, but it was really hard. I
Yeah.
don't think it was successful. Like, I don't think my going for it was successful. So maybe that's the question is how do you know or does it matter as long as you're putting, you're all into it?
Well, I'm reminded of, okay, the show Mozart in the Jungle. I don't think you've seen this, but
No.
it's based on a book. It's about kind of basically the life and the microcosm of classical musicians in New York. And there's in the first episode, the main character is like a oboist and she's auditioning for like the big New York Philharmonic Orchestra or whatever. And like when you think about auditions on that level, I mean, this is true from an acting standpoint too. It's like if you've gotten that audition, you're really good. You know, you're not making
Right.
mistakes on your piece, but they're looking
Right.
for something for you to be in this orchestra. And it's like, what is the emotional content you're putting into this piece of music? Technical proficiency is the baseline, but there's some kind
Right.
of interpretation that's happening. And if you're not versed in classical music, you might not know it or listen for it, but people get separated, you know? And
Right.
that's like
Right.
there's some musicians who are going for it, and then there's some that are not. They're executing the thing, but they're not bringing anything of themselves into it.
Right. I guess going for it, it's probably not a binary, right? Like
No.
when I listen to the Office Ladies podcast, this is the podcast where they're recapping The Office, episodes of The Office, and they do all the behind the scenes and have interviews with people. And so oftentimes people are talking about their interview to get on The Office and different choices they made. the choices that other people
Mhm.
made and choices that are successful or not successful, and it's like they're all going for it, you know? But it doesn't mean it's gonna be successful. I guess that's the thing. Like, yes, you should go for it,
It's
make a
also
choice. Right,
subjective,
because there's someone else on the other side who's like, "They that person went for it," or "That person didn't."
right. Or that person went for it, but I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do with that? I don't
Right.
like that flavor. Okay.
This is now a complete tangent. And another podcast I listened to, I was listening to an interview with Ryan Reynolds, and he was talking about day players,
Oh, yeah.
people who come on and they have 2 lines, and he's like, and they often, go for it, like, completely overreact because this is their moment, and it's like,
Yes.
"Okay, do it again, and this time, just throw it away, completely throw it away." It's like I can imagine that moment where you're like, "This is it, I have to go for it."
I have been that person, Azizi. That was, like,
Yeah,
most of my acting jobs were that level, and it's one of the hardest things because how can you not put so much pressure on handing this person their coffee if that's your one scene,
right.
but it's not about the barista, that's not what the episode is about.
Right, right,
That in itself is a skill to be restrained and just say the line or whatever without putting everything into it because it doesn't require that and it's not about that, but it's harder than you think. It's harder than it looks.
right, well, and that's what he was saying is, like, that is the hardest work, but it's about the ensemble, right? And so
Right.
I think that's the thing that made me think about, oh, there's always a give and take, a leading and a following, and it requires some balance, this going for it.
Yes. Okay. So I was thinking about this in my life in a totally different context. We've been talking about friendship a lot. And I think this is an area where I want to go for it more. And I do feel like it feels vulnerable. And I realize, like, what is it that feels hard? And honestly, I think the thing that feels hard for me right now is accepting help.
Mm,
So, like, even though I know that I'm gonna need help, especially having the second child on the way, and, like, a few people have offered, like, "We'd love to take Indigo for an afternoon," or something like that, if you need
yeah,
time,
right.
and that's a very friendly community thing to do. For some reason, it feels hard for me to take them up on that.
Mm,
Like, I would rather hire a babysitter,
interesting.
and I think part of it is because it feels vulnerable to, like, accept help on that level. I just haven't been in this place in my life
Right,
where I needed that kind of support,
right.
and so, I think for me going for it would be to say yes to these requests or, like, to follow up on them and test them. Because part of it too is, like, are they just saying that,
Right,
like, do they
right.
really wanna spend the afternoon with my toddler?
Yes.
Like, is it gonna become a burden on them? And, like, maybe they won't do it again, but can I actually take people at their word and, like, test the friendship in that way, I guess?
Say yes to the request.
Yeah.
I love this for you, Malika. I think this is a really good idea. I think you should do it. I've been on the other side where I've said to someone, "Oh my goodness, I would be happy to, help you out with this thing or just let me know." And I really mean it. Like, I really,
Yeah,
please let me
yeah.
know. I would love to. Not all the time, but if I say it, it means I mean it. I'm open to that. So I think you
Mhm.
should actually take people up on their offers for help, and that can strengthen the relationship and the connection, and
Yeah,
that's the thing, people like to help, and it makes people feel good to help also, right?
right.
All kinds of research and science has indicated that when we help others, we feel better, so be the person helped, why not?
Yeah. So, I'll report back on that, but I
Okay.
I felt inspired by that encouragement. Go for it.
You should write that down somewhere. That's a good thing to reflect on.
Okay.
In episode 418, Elizabeth talked about face blindness, Malika, and
Mm.
I was so excited. I never felt so affirmed and validated in my entire life. I remember where I was at on the freeway when I heard her say this. I will I will reflect back on it often because, I have this thing where I meet someone, they say their name, immediately I don't remember their name, and then the next day I won't remember their face either. and then I'll see them again, and it's like we never met, and it's frustrating. It's hard for me, it's so awkward, but I know myself enough now to know that, "Oh, okay, this is just how my brain works or doesn't work, and it's not something that I have control over. It's not that I don't care about people or I don't want to know or remember them. It's just that I really can't." And so I do say it. I say it out loud more. People who know me well know this about me because when we're in group settings with other people, they're like, "Oh, right, it's easy. You may not remember me or you may not remember them."
Mm,
Of course, friends or people who I have connections with. I'll remember. And it is like I need to have met them about 4 or 5 times
mm,
to have it go into my long-term memory. And so my strategy is to always say, "It's nice to see you," because that way, if I have met them, it is not awkward.
right.
And I can usually get enough context after the conversation where it'll trigger something and I'll remember. But for me, it's the face blindness plus just my short term memory has always been bad since I was a child. So that together, that makes it really challenging. And it's funny because I didn't realize this about myself until I became an administrator and I started going to conferences. And so
Mhm,
you'd be in a space where you meet a bunch of people once, and then the following year, some of those people are there again, but you have not interacted with them in months or a year. And I realized other people would remember them or remember me. It's like, oh, this is something that I struggle with.
but in terms of, like, parents, because you meet a ton of parents,
Yes.
is that because you end up seeing them more than 5 times?
Well, it's really hard.
Yeah,
I have learned to have a printed directory. Like we have a directory online, but I need to actually have a paper
okay.
directory so I can flip to it really quickly. Sometimes I've done flashcards at different points in my life where I have the family photo and I have their names in the back
Yeah,
and I can quiz myself and that helps. It is hard. And then if there's a parent who doesn't come around often,
right.
I'll remember the partner, but I won't remember the other one. I have confused parents. That's it's usually the dads. Don't get around as often, and that's really hard, so it's a liability for this position that I have, but I just work on it. I really work on it, and having a photo with names associated helps me a lot.
There must be a community for you, Azizi, out there. I don't know if you've ever sought others, like, online. There must be a million strategies to help with this that people have
Oh,
developed, you know?
it never occurred to me to actually try to
I
find some,
mean,
like, professional help or
I just think because you felt so seen by hearing Liz talk
I
about it,
did, yeah.
that maybe there's something there to help you navigate it more.
Do you know who else has face blindness?
Who?
Brad Pitt.
What?
I've heard this about Brad Pitt.
And you met Brad Pitt?
I met Brad Pitt. How many times can we work that into the podcast? And I bet if I met him again, he would not remember me
That's
100%.
hilarious.
Him,
Well,
I would remember.
yeah.
I would see and know who he was, but
That's so interesting.
yeah,
You described him as being very charismatic and, like, very
coping
warm.
strategies, I bet.
Probably,
It's the
but
same with me, yeah.
he's in a situation where people will always know who he is.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting, Malika? I think because my name is Azizi and I stand out in
Yeah.
a lot of other ways in the groups I'm in, people will usually remember me, maybe for some of those reasons. I am not
Are you Brad
maybe I
Pitt?
am comparing myself to Brad Pitt. It's like I'm not Brad Pitt, but maybe I am on some level. But I feel like I am a memorable person. When I started at the high school I went to, I probably told you this before. On the first day of school, it was an all girls school. I came in high school. There were girls who had started in fourth grade and had already known each other. And there were like maybe 20 of us that came in new in the high school. And on the first day of school, everyone wears the same white dress, and I swear in my class, a third were named Jennifer, a third were named Sarah, a third were named Karen, and I could not it took me so long to figure out who is who that everyone looked the same except for me, right? I was like, I've always been taller, my hair was different, it was my first experience with face blindness, but to be fair, there are a
Hmm,
lot of other things working against me in that situation.
it's funny.
Yeah.
Well, keep us posted if you do venture out.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna write this down and I'm
But
gonna look for communities and see what other strategies people do. It's a real thing. It's a
yeah.
real thing. And I'm glad that I'm not alone.
So their guests talked about sprouting versus blossoming in kind of businesses, creative endeavors, or just any entrepreneurial endeavor, where in the early stages, you're sprouting, you're kind of spreading a lot of seeds, you're tending the soil, you're really working hard to produce very little like vegetation.
Yeah.
And then at some point, this endeavor and your efforts should transition to blossoming, where there is something that is happening because of your previous efforts that now takes less work and is also has a bigger impact. So I thought it was a good metaphor about just scaling, and they really discuss how that can be challenging to move from one phase to the next, that even though sprouting is a lot of work, it's kind of what we think of as like hustling, that you can get really familiar with that space and
Right.
that there's a lot of risk and fear can be associated with up leveling or blossoming, changing things and doing less in a bigger way.
Yeah. So did this resonate with you? Or do you see places where you sprout or blossom?
Yeah, I mean, I felt this a lot in my business. Sprouting was being kind of a solopreneur, just doing everything myself. And I did get to a point where it seemed like I could stay in this place forever, or I could try to make some different investments and bring an assistant on or someone to help with operations. And I did start that blossoming process. And there were some parts that were successful and others that weren't. It was
Right.
harder in different ways. And ultimately, I ended up pivoting anyway. But I think part of my not going back to that business after I had Indigo was that I didn't want the entrepreneurial life.
Mm,
Blossoming, even if you're working for yourself, it's like it can still be a lot of pressure, and I realized I just wasn't interested in that right now.
yeah.
But I definitely remember that the fear of giving up control, when I brought in other people and was like working more on infrastructure. And I think Gretchen has talked about this quite a bit too. Her focus on infrastructure
Yeah.
at a certain point and how, I mean, we see it. She's pretty transparent about her starting her store with all of her products and the courses and just kind of having a team after not having a team for so many years. It's fascinating. What does it bring up for you as easy?
Well, it's interesting. I do like to sprout things, and I call them a pilot. I love a pilot. When we're trying a new thing, there's something about calling it a pilot that makes it feel freeing. Like, it's okay if this doesn't work out. It's just a pilot.
Mhm,
We could put a little bit into it. It's a pilot. Let's see where it goes. And it also normalizes the idea that it may not go anywhere. It was just a pilot.
mhm,
So there's something about calling it a pilot that frees us up because I'm in an industry and a profession that really values tradition for good
mhm,
reasons and things being the same and predictability, like all of that are really important. But also, it's important to sometimes adapt or to try new systems or new approaches or even new technology, right? So, I like the idea of a pilot, and then you see if it goes somewhere. If it goes somewhere,
right.
then it is blossoming. There's a book called Good to Great that's written by Jim Collins that was like a go-to leadership book that was widely read in the independent school spaces like 10 years ago or something, and he talked about the concept of, like, small bullets versus a cannonball, like,
Mm,
just try something small because you may not have the resources or the people or going for it may require some bigger things, but it's important to do both.
right.
It's again back to balance. It's important to sprout things. It's important to have things blossom and to nurture those blossoms and to not do too much of one at the detriment of the other. And then I guess in my personal life, I mean, I feel like that's what this whole endeavor is about setting goals for ourselves
Yeah.
and trying new things and saying what we tried and didn't work. That's the sprouting versus blossoming, right? There's some things that we have tried that did not work. And there's some things that we have tried that are now in regular rotation or are regular parts of our life because they blossomed. So I like that concept.
That's true. That's podcasts, for example.
Oh, right. For example, this podcast, which I don't know, I guess there was never really like a pilot stage. I think we kind of just went for it from the beginning, right?
I mean, I think we enjoyed it, and so we kept doing it, but it could have just been a sprout that we tried and said, "Okay, 5 episodes is enough, or 10 episodes is enough."
Right. It's true.
Um
And we're coming on our 100th
Ah!
episode, Malika. Who ever thought? And I think that puts us in a very small percentage of podcasters. Like,
Yeah,
not very many podcasters just keep it going for as long as we have kept it going. And so we are in a phase or in a place where we need to think about what else are we
right.
sprouting?
What's the next blossom or sprout? I don't know.
Sprout, right? What's our next pilot? What other aspects of this podcast? How can we grow it, scale it?
Yeah,
We're in that place.
yes, I agree. Well, our strategic vision will help with that.
Oh, right. That the strategic planning that will happen, and then we will intentionally think about our next
Yes.
sprouts.
Y
Sounds good.
yes.
Okay. Let's take a break, and when we get back, we'll discuss the Happier podcast.
Azizi, how's your dinner game these days?
Well, Malika, I used to struggle with what to cook for dinner.
You're cooking now?
Okay. Actually, my husband used to struggle with what to make for dinner. I mean, meal planning, grocery lists, yuck. But then we found Prep Dish. It's a weekly meal planning service that tells you exactly what to cook. And now they've partnered with Instacart, so your grocery list becomes a ready to go online cart.
Ooh, what's in your cart, Azizi?
All of the Prep Dish ingredients, plus I can add energy drinks, chili crisp, lipstick, whatever, and check out in just a few clicks. Shopping online is so fun. The meals are family friendly, healthy, and super easy to prep. Dinner is easy to make, and now we look forward to new tasty meals.
Prep Dish is offering our listeners 2 weeks free. Just head to prepdish.com/happierladies to sign up. Again, that's prepdish.com/happierladies.
Hey, it's Paris. You know, I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
And we are back. Azizi, what happened on Happier recently?
In episode 533, a listener reminds us that we're capable of rising to difficult circumstances. Liz and Gretchen discuss addressing unused items, and a listener gives the advice of giving physical therapy a try again. In episode 534, Gretchen and Liz share their exceptional advantages. And in More Happier, they discuss the importance of knowing their values in a conversation with Susie Welsh.
In the episode 533, where the woman is talking about rising to the occasion of difficult circumstances, she was inspired by Gretchen's kind of acknowledgement that she was preparing for Taffy, her puppy, and trying to read everything and like be so on top of how is she going to take care of this puppy when it comes. And then at a certain point realizing, you know what, I'm probably going to figure it out when, when the puppy's here. Like I've done this
Right.
before and this is how it works with babies. There's only so much you can do when the thing has not happened yet. So the listener was really encouraged about this and related it to her experience getting through a difficult birth experience and parenting. And I think I'm just taking all the parenting advice I can, just taking it all in. But I feel like this is a good principle for me too. I have been asking people who have 2 kids, what do you remember about that time if your kids are older and any advice? And most people say some version of this, like you'll figure it out. And I think it's good to just know for myself, I will rise to the occasion. Like It's not even the baby part that stresses me out, it's the logistics of, and this is not even happening for a while, but, like, of having 2 kids in daycare and going to work full time.
Yes.
I've never been in that situation, you know? And so, like, just the logistics of it, I'm, like, stressing about it now, and it's not even here, you know? That's,
Right.
like, almost a year away. But if I can zoom out, I can acknowledge, "Okay, this is gonna be hard, but I don't think that's gonna be my downfall," you know? Like, I've figured out a lot of things. I'll
Yes.
probably figure that out too.
Well, downfall is not an option.
Downfall is not an option.
You can't. There is no downfall, so you can just remove that from the equation as a
Or,
possibility.
like, it's not gonna break me, you know, like.
No, you can't be broken. Also not an option. You have 2 kids to take care of. There's no breaking or downfall. I mean, you're gonna do it. It's gonna be a messy, beautiful phase, but you're gonna do it, and I've done it,
Yeah,
and it's fine. You will do it, but it's hard. It is definitely hard work, and it's nice to have people come from the other side and
yeah,
hear their stories of how they got through it because it's not ridiculous. It's like bananas that you will take on something that is so important, and where the stakes are so high with so few details,
right,
in place or without exactly knowing the right recipe or formula to get through it. It is just bananas that that's how parenting works. And it's interesting because I'm on the other end and well, maybe that's not true. I can't say I'm on the other end, but my approach is to just jump in. And I've talked about this before. I will think about things and think about things and think about things. And then at a certain point, I'm like, that's it. I'm just jumping.
yeah,
That's how life happens. You just have to move forward. You work it out along the way. And this is where your resolution to ask for help comes in also.
yeah,
That's going to really help with this next phase is the getting more people involved
right,
and support because that makes things go better too.
right.
I loved when they talked about dusting things off. And this was a conversation about Liz's monitor, the monitor that was on her desk that was taking up so much space, and Gretchen came in and immediately was like, "Are you going to use this or not use this?" Because it's taking up a lot of real estate, and so you either need to commit to using it or get rid of it. And she chose to get rid of it or put it away or something, and it changed her outlook and changed her workspace, and it's an important reminder that we should do that with all the
Yeah,
things in our house. Everything that we are having and storing, we should have a plan for or should serve a purpose. And, I was looking up William Morris, who is a designer or was a designer and had these beautiful paisley kind of designs that he's known for. And he said, you should not have anything in your life that is not useful or beautiful. Like, it should fit into
mm,
those 2 categories. Is it useful? Is it beautiful? Which makes it useful because you are getting some
right,
enjoyment out of looking at it. And if it's not, then you should not have it or hold on to it. So this is something that I'm thinking about again. In particular, it helps with the overbuying, making sure that are
mm.
you getting the full use out of the things that you already own, and then you may not need to buy more or buy another one if you already have one. So yeah, I love this.
I think, I mean, there's so much in a house that it doesn't fit these 2 categories, but
Yeah.
I can think of, like, my washi tape supplies,
Ooh,
which I've
yes.
collected, and then people start giving it to me, and I like it, and there was a time when I was really using it and touching it every day, but that
Yeah.
has been years away, you know?
Wow. Yeah.
But it feels, I guess, like letting go of a part of myself, or, like, at some point, I'm gonna wanna get into it again.
Right.
I should hang on to this stuff, but theoretically, I could just start a collection again, you know, and find new fun things that are sparking joy. And it doesn't take up like a whole room or anything, but that's just one example of like a box that has not been opened in years.
Oof.
It's got a lot of stuff in it.
Malika, I have boxes of craft supplies, like specifically ribbons and glitter that, when the girls were young, we were doing a lot of those kinds of crafting projects. And while they brought me great joy, Is it gonna happen anymore?
Right.
I don't know.
No.
Probably not. You said that with such certainty. I say probably not. You say no.
That's the perfect thing for both of us to put on our porch and, like,
Yes.
send an email or make a post on a group and say porch pickup.
I think that you and I are both going through these phases, and it's a good time to take stock of what we have in
Yeah.
our homes, maybe area by area, and kind of decide what are we taking with us into this next phase, and what are we leaving behind. And probably the boxes of glitter I probably
You
should throw
don't
behind.
need glitter.
You're right. Oh,
I really enjoyed the listener recommendation about trying physical therapy again. So this person had tried it kind of in her youth and decades later was still dealing with some residual pain from this injury and kind of assumed that physical therapy didn't work because it didn't resolve her issue when she was younger. And a doctor encouraged her to try it again and citing that a lot has changed in the industry and your body might respond differently, but mainly that the field has really improved. And so she did, and within, like, just a few sessions or some small number of sessions, her pain was gone and she felt healed. I got similar advice, not around physical therapy, but around dealing with migraines. When I was in my 20s, I had migraines and some variant that was causing vertigo, and it was really scary and stressful, and several doctors in that process really encouraged me to keep pursuing treatments, that there's, like, so many different medications and that it really is about finding the right one and more being developed, but, like, kind of if you're patient and, like, willing to keep trying, you probably will find one, and I really appreciated that perspective because I might have given up after the first one didn't work, but because they prefaced that, it gave me the stamina to keep trying, and they did find one that was helpful for me, and it's just you kind of forget that science in the best of times, is advancing and moving forward and that things are not the same. I think it's different with in different fields, right? But often within a number of years, things can be very different.
I love that. I mean, what a great time to be alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how science works. There's always going to be some new discovery or new understanding or nuance, and we should be taking advantage of that. So, if I could ever make it to physical therapy, this advice would come in handy because then I could make sure to keep going or go again. But I could see how this would apply to other types of ailments or other things that can be helped with new understandings or technology. In episode 534, Liz and Gretchen had a great discussion about recognizing your exceptional advantages. And these are things that you didn't ask for necessarily, but you benefit from them. And identifying what are those things that provide you benefits, even though you didn't work for it or something.
Mhm.
It was an interesting thing to think about, kind of like a know yourself better question. Something that came to mind was having lived and worked and gone to independent schools in the LA area where I still am, means that I have kind of a depth of knowledge and context that others who have just gotten here or haven't lived here their entire life don't have. And
Yeah.
I benefit from that. I benefit from that now in terms of my relationships and connections and understanding different aspects of my work. I consider that an exceptional advantage. Another advantage is that you are my sister.
Oh.
One, having a sister, which I don't know that did Gretchen and Liz talk about that? They did talk about that a little bit, but just having a sister period is an exceptional advantage. And then having that sister be Malika,
Oh,
who is a
wow.
career coach. Oh my God. Like the number of times I have gotten free coaching from you, I would be broke. I would be in debt if I paid you what you're worth to me. So that is a huge exceptional advantage that I count.
Oh, thank you. That's flattering. I think I was struggling a little bit, like, what are my exceptional advantages? I think when I was in LA pursuing entertainment, that I also had that advantage of, like, just being from LA.
Right.
and having a home base there and not having to deal with that transition that a lot of people face when they move to LA to pursue something. But that's not my situation now. So I think part of my advantage in my current field is that I know a lot about a lot of different industries because of my experience having different jobs while I was acting. I wasn't just like, the traditional like actor slash waitress or something. I was actress slash working in a startup, actor slash legal advocacy person. I did a lot in education and the military. I had a lot of varied experiences that I think really inform my confidence in learning and like entering into somebody else's career field, even if I'm not in that field myself. And I think another advantage is my partner is very good with tech and media,
Hey, shout out to Norm.
which is just like a good thing to have in your back pocket, you know?
Yes.
He's incredible at his craft and like happens to know a lot about computers and audio and video, and that comes in handy more than you would think.
And he's willing to help. It's one
And
thing
he's
to know it,
helpful.
but
Yes.
being easy to work with and helpful
Yes.
makes it even better. I would count that as well. And back in our family, like mommy's a lawyer and Grayson cooks. Leia's soon to be a vet. Like we are well stacked. That's good.
Grayson cooks, he's also very handy at, like, fixing
He's
things.
also very handy. He has fixed things for family members. Definitely an asset.
I really like the Clifton Strengths framework, which was something I got certified in recently, and kind of the premise of it is, like, understanding your own exceptional advantages so that you can
Oh,
build on them. You have to identify them, and then you can use them in life, and that's something that I think just in articulating what you have going for you, it makes it more accessible.
yes, that's a good thing to know. I thought you were raising that to talk about the next thing.
Oh, well, it's connected.
Yeah.
So, on More Happier, they talked to Susie Welch, who created a quiz called the Values Bridge that is about helping people understand what their values are and how they are expressed. Like, what your values are and how much you are living in them, which is kind of the different angle maybe from other similar assessments. Though I will say as a coach who does talk to people about values, there aren't a lot of instruments to draw those out. It's usually look at this list, pick the ones that resonate, and then you keep narrowing them down. And that's helpful too. Like, certainly that generates a conversation, but there's a difference between picking values and uncovering values. And that's the thing that makes this quiz really helpful. It uncovers what's already there versus people maybe just picking what the best version of themselves is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think the situational questions
Yeah,
are force you to think on a deeper level about how you actually feel. And so I appreciated that as well. I appreciated that the questions drove me towards what my values actually were based on, answering these questions. And you're right. I'm not participating in something that helps you understand if you're living your values or to the extent that you're living your values.
right. So what were your values?
Okay. My top 5 were non-sibby, which is like helping others to be their best selves, supporting others in their journey.
Okay.
Family centrism, which is like a family focus and connecting with family. Luminescence, which is about being well known for the thing that you do or being known in the community. Affluence, which is just like wealth. Like, do you have money to carry out your dreams and goals? And Scope, which was about adventure and doing new things in life and novelty. By the way, those aren't the official definitions. That's just my understanding. You should read it yourself, but based on how I digested this information, that's what those things meant. What were yours, Malika?
So my number one was voice, which is kind of about being an individual, like self-expression, how much you want your authenticity to be out there in the world. That resonates. That feels pretty on target. My coaching business was the Center for Women's Voice. So that
Right.
was like, okay.
Literally voices in the name.
The second one was work centrism, which is kind of about the value you place on work in your life. And I think from seeing work as a vocation and as something that is shaping your identity and your purpose. The next one was beholderism, like how much beauty matters to you or aesthetics or appearance, the way that you appear to others, but also your home and what others see when they look at your life, literally, which is interesting. The next one was eudaimonia, which is about how much do I want my life to be organized around experiences that bring pleasure and joy. I was happy to see that there. Very much. I want pleasure and joy. And then the last one was something called radius, which is about the impact you want to make with your life, kind of having a desire to make systemic impact in the world or institutional impact, which is different from the non-Sibby quality. That was your number one.
Right.
So this is more impact at scale. So I was fascinated by this quiz. I feel like there is like a lexicon that comes with this because it's all these different concepts and language.
Right.
So there's actually quite a bit to dig into, and I just kind of scratched the surface. But I am curious to look at it more deeply. And it's funny to me that none of our values are the same, our five values.
Isn't that wild? It's so interesting that there's no overlap. I mean, that said, we can't access the other ones.
Right. We didn't
And
upgrade.
we didn't upgrade, but I know that some of yours are on my list, just not at the top. What's even more fascinating to me is that work centrism isn't in my top 5. But
Yeah.
it's interesting because I associate the non-civvy, like, that is what I do at work,
Yeah.
and so it is important to me, but it's important to me not necessarily connected. I don't see it separate maybe from work, maybe that's what it is, I don't know. I have a lot of questions still about this, but it was an interesting process, and I thought it was the questions were very engaging.
Yes. I'm trying to get Norm to take it too.
Oh,
So,
also, I sent you a request to connect with me.
okay.
I don't know what happens there, but we might as well, like, let's connect. Maybe it's like when 2 superheroes collide, like, something beautiful happens, I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see.
Who knows?
But I encourage others, if you're interested in this kind of conversation, to take the quiz. It's fascinating and it's free.
And it's free.
All right, let's take a break. And when we come back, we'll discuss our peaks and valleys.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Psst, healthcare pros, word's out, and it's too good to keep quiet. Look, LinkedIn is revolutionizing job hunting, making it possible to search by specialty, shift preference, and salary. Endless scrolling is out. Whether it's a mental health therapist or dental hygienist, finding the perfect role is faster and easier than ever. Head to linkedin.com/healthcare and start your search today.
We're back with peaks and valleys because in life, there are always peaks and always valleys. This is an odd episode, so Malika is up with a peak.
My peak goes to Norm. Speaking of his audiovisual prowess, this is a different category, but I still got to give him credit because
Mm.
he has a treadmill desk and it's very important to him. And like, that's what he works on every single day and, walks throughout the day on it. I use it sometimes. I often sit on it.
That's
It
okay.
had been broken or out of commission for the past several weeks. And he had done some research and made some calls. And it was like going to be this huge hassle to get it fixed. And like, kind of almost up to 2/3 the cost of the treadmill desk to, like, get it fixed, that kinda thing, and it's a
All
very
right. Yeah.
expensive purchase, it's a big piece of equipment, and so he was kind of bummed out about it, we weren't sure what to do, and he decided to just get in there himself, and which I would never do.
Mm.
I would never.
No, that thing would be on
He
the curb.
pulled it out, like, separated it from the standing desk thing and, like, got it on the bed and opened it and found the motor, and, like, there was all of this dog fur in there. It was like he took a picture. It was like, I mean, never has that thing been cleaned out. It's not like a vacuum
Wow.
cleaner where there's, like, a trap door for you to easily, but
Right.
naturally, it's
That's
just
weird.
rolling and collecting whatever gets under there. But he cleaned it out and, like,
Wow.
figured out, oiled some part, did something, and, like, it's working again. He used ChatGPT to help him and asked it questions
Oh,
along the way,
wow.
and, like, he said that gave him the confidence to kind of get in there, but maybe it's fixed. It is working now, maybe it'll last. It is fixed, but, like, maybe that's it.
Okay, so it's fixed. That's amazing. And also,
Yeah.
like, ChatGPT. Do you know, Malika, I designated a week to dig
Okay,
into ChatGPT over the summer.
okay.
I think it's the week I'm visiting you. I'm just like, if I really want to move this thing forward, why not just have a week of ChatGPT? And it's good that I'm doing it while I'm there
Yes,
because I could have Norm as like a guide. He can like maybe be my ChatGPT mentor. I want to move myself further along on this journey, but that's
yeah.
amazing.
What about you, Azizi? What's your valley?
Well, my valley was sending out invitations and generally preparing for this graduation party that is coming up very soon. It's coming up so fast. I felt like I hadn't made enough concrete steps. The good news is that I actually did just send out the invitation. The bad news is that there was a typo, which you found. So
Okay, we knew what you
apologies
meant.
to everyone who received it and thought there was a lot. People RSVP'd. They knew what I meant, but it's a little clunky and there's more. I need to find more emails to get it out. It's just the work of planning and executing a party when you're still working and have all the other things to do. But it will all happen. It will be
Yeah.
joyous. It's getting done. It's just getting done slower than I want it to.
Well, you're in the thick of it. This is a busy time for school too.
It's a busy time for school. Yeah, busy time for personal things. And the stakes, I keep saying this, but the stakes feel high
Yeah,
because this is going to only happen once, you know? Like you don't get another shot at this. I want it to be fun. I want it to be fun and festive.
I'm giving you a peek for doing it and putting in all the work and the time, and I think it will be a wonderful celebration. All right, well, that brings us to the end. Azizi, let's leave on a happier thought. What are you going to try this week?
I'm going to do a little research on face blindness, maybe find a community. That was a
Okay,
really good idea, Malika. What about you?
I am going to go for it with the friendships where people have extended themselves to offer help with Indigo. So I'm going to try to make arrangements.
Go for it and get some help.
Yes.
Excellent.
Thank you for listening to this episode. You can find our notes in the episode description. If you like us, please rate, review, and tell a friend. And don't forget to follow us.
Send us a message at happierladies@gmail.com.
Our show was edited by Magnus Bjorgum, and our theme music was created by Wyatt Muncie.
You can find us on Instagram at happierladies and on the web at happierladies.com. All right, Malika, have a happier week.
Have a happier week, Azizi. Bye.
Bye.
Norm said he's been on a driving nap with Indigo
Okay.
and that he was trying different things, his music, and it wasn't working. And then he put on Happier Ladies, and then Indigo fell asleep.
Well, we could create a sleep podcast.
He said first he laughed gleefully and got a big kick out of hearing you and Azizi. He claimed Mommy Malika several times and then out.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.